social commentator and general smartass, Prue MacSween.
Hi, I'm Hollie Hughes, the former Conservative senator that was sometimes a little controversial.
Hi, I'm TV journalist and everybody's favourite Real Housewife of Melbourne, Anjali Rao.
Hi, I'm Australia's ruggedly handsome voice of reason, Joe Hildebrand.
Hi, darlings. My name's Carlotta. I'm politically incorrect, but a lot of fun.
You certainly are, Carlotta, and it certainly will be a lot of fun. I'm television and radio presenter Rob McKnight. Welcome to Booty and the Beasts. We are here to solve your burning issues and have a little fun along the way. You've met the panel, so let's get into it. An original beauty, Prue MacSween, has our first letter. Prue, over to you.
Thanks, Rob. Our first letter is, Dear Booty and Beasts, I'm addicted to Ozempic. I've lost 15 kilos and counting, and I feel like a new man. But the problem is I'm attracting so many chicks that it's becoming exhausting, and my mates are getting jealous. I've started going to the gym to build up my stamina to accommodate all the ladies, but I'm terrified that I'll get back to being a lump of lard and a chick won't get to look at me if I give up the Ozempic. Flab or fun in the cot? That's my dilemma. What should I do? Well, mate, I've got to say to you, Roger the Incredible from Leichhardt, you are a facile piece of lard, I tell you. I mean, if you think that chicks are that stupid that they're only interested in you for your muscles, then you've got another thing coming. You're clearly so stupid and facile that they probably want to stick their breasts in your mouth to shut you up. So I suggest you get off the Ozempic, get off the chicks, and maybe just go and sit in the fetal position in your bedroom alone. That's about as well as you're going to get, mate.
Oh, can I, excuse me, Prue, please. As the only person on this panel who actually knows how Roger feels, I feel like...
Thanks very much, Joe.
I'm going to say something here.
Hey, hello.
Excuse me, I know both sides.
No, I know. It can be a burden. I'm just saying, sometimes you do feel, like I've got so many women who just obviously just have sheer, raw physical attraction. They only want me for my body. And sometimes I feel like saying, ladies, my eyes are up here.
Mate, you wish.
I've also got something to say. I want you to love me for who I am on the inside, not just the incredibly shredded... No, completely unaware of it.
I can get that.
You just said something very interesting. Is your wife aware? Do you think men become more attractive to other women than their own wives over time?
I can only...
They don't know about the smelly feet and the farting.
Exactly. But I mean, look, as far as Roger's concerned, I'm all for it, mate. I too am on the O train. Next stop, smug town, choo-choo.
Oh.
Like, I get it. You've lost 15 kilos, but you're also losing the plot because, look, if the only thing that's separating you from becoming some sort of involuntary celibate is a weekly jab, you're just insecurity in activewear. Don't you get that?
Back in my day, when women were getting into the big O, it meant something very, very different.
Was it an orgasm or organza?
I still don't know. Never saw it myself, so could be anything.
And how lucky your wife is, Joe.
I
Yes.
think this guy, if he's losing weight in his willy from Ozempic, he's got something to worry about.
Some of us have plenty to lose, Carlotta. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, right. Talk, no stalk. I know the type.
I don't think we've actually solved the problem here, Hollie, because his dilemma seems to be that he's losing out with his mates. Should he be flab and be friends with his mates, or should he have fun in the cot? It's a pretty simple answer, isn't it?
Well, look, I think this is the issue here, that it's just blatant jealousy, clearly, from his mates. But I would also say he does not need to take every advance from a woman that comes across. I mean, clearly he's been desperate in the past, and he's now taking
You
the
don't know men at all.
opportunity at every
You don't know men at all.
Look, clearly I don't. I do understand the big O, and I hope that the big O is happening in both departments, because otherwise it's very unsatisfying for everybody involved.
Well, Roger, the incredible from Leichhardt.
Not everybody.
I don't think we've helped you any way, shape or form, but thanks for your question. For more Booty and the Beasts content, join us on social media. We're on Instagram and TikTok at Booty and the Beasts AU. On The Real Housewives of Melbourne, Anjali Rao was in the middle of some major plot twists, but none of that compares to our next letter. Ange, what have you got for us?
In the middle of them, I was the plot twist.
That is very, very true. I was being nice.
Here we go. Dear Beauties and Beasts, I feel I mustn't be normal. All my friends say they want to change their sex. My best friend at school said he wants to be a girl. And another mate has started coming to school dressed as a cat. I just want to play strutty and stay the way I am. But my friends think there's something wrong with me. I feel out of it and under so much pressure to be different because so many other kids are questioning who they are. And our teachers say it's okay to feel that way. And even helping them out. Can you help? I don't know Robert from Carlotta. We're about to find out. So here's the thing. You are completely normal. I get it. You want to play footy. You want to hang with your mates and not have to, I don't know, identify as some non-binary moonbeam with a menstrual tracking app for your rescue llama just to get noticed. I think it's good. You should stay that way. We've gone from teaching kids to be yourself. That's the most important thing. You better damn well be interesting or you're totally irrelevant. You're going to be a social leper living under a bridge in a box unless you're a brand. Do you think that stability is starting to feel like some sort of icky kink? It's boring and it's past. I don't know. What do you reckon?
Prue, is this what it's come to now? That if you aren't having some identity crisis, you're not normal?
Well, I think it's right, Rob. I mean, Carlotta, she started it by becoming a tranny, let's face it, but that's another story. But the thing is that there's so much pressure on kids now that they have to be different. If I'm normal, there's something wrong with me.
They were doing it back in the Egyptian days.
Well, I mean, you didn't know if you were Arthur or Martha, did you? Until you got your dicky dog chopped off. But, that's good on you. I don't know if it's still as you did have it on your mantelpiece. I don't know what you ever did with the whole bloody thing.
I think you've been looking into too many.
Kids.
I think you've been looking into too many cracked mirrors.
Well, I probably have, love, but I see your face so often in it, and that's the problem. I think it's scarred me for life. But the thing is that so much pressure on kids these days to be different. And why can't you just be bloody normal? I'm sick of seeing kids walking around as pussies. I mean, pussies in my day were useful things, but only when you were after dark. But these days, they're walking the streets. It's a really sad situation.
Excuse me for being a bit conservative and a bit old-fashioned here, but I'm just saying, can we just please, if you're going to change your identity, just stick with the same species. Just stay within the same species. Just stay human.
I think that's a fair call. And
is that too much to ask?
Obviously, there's no doubt. Look at this panel. We are about inclusivity, but I do think there is a pressure on kids now to be different. Once upon a time, when we were younger, you didn't want to be different. That's why, in all seriousness, Carlotta was a trailblazer because she followed her true path. But now kids, and I know of a kid who said this to me, they said at one stage they were bi because they felt like that's what everyone else was doing. And you weren't allowed to be just a heterosexual kid.
Well, look, I think it's really interesting and well done, Robert. Go hang out with your mates at the footy club because I think you've found your tribe there. I think it's really sad that kids these days are feeling the need to adopt a persona that's probably not them. I mean, the whole thing about them turning up as furries and cats, the fact that schools are accommodating this rubbish by putting litter boxes and certain feeding and watering options available, it's just ridiculous. It's feeding into the mental health of these kids long term. I think good on you, Robert. It shows actual confidence and self-awareness and self-confidence to be able to be yourself. And you know what? Being a heterosexual male these days, it ain't the worst thing because I can tell you for the ladies going forward, there'll be fewer and fewer of them.
Absolutely. And also, there was that story recently, wasn't there, about the teacher who was the one who was identifying as the cat, and the school had to accommodate this person.
yeah.
But also to teach them people that you're supposed to be, looking up to, and they're supposed to be your role models. That's what children are seeing, and that's what they're mirroring. It's really, really worrying. And I love pussies. I've got 2 of them, 3 actually, if I look down.
Gosh, she's beating you, Carlotta.
Thank God for that.
Listen, now there's a real serious side of this that I want to get across. The problem with today is, if a little boy or a little girl, never happened when I was growing up, want to be a boy or a girl or what they go to school dressed separated. But the thing that I'm against is that these doctors are treating these young kids hormonally.
The puberty blockers.
They're not letting, with puberty blockers, but they're not letting them mature. And what happens is, once their body matures and they get into their teens, some of them change their mind. But it's too late, because what it does, these treatments that they've got them on, stuffs up their bodies. And, it's got long consequences that it ruins them later in life. So
absolutely.
What I say to parents today, if your little boy wants to dress up as a little boy or wants to dress up as a little girl, let them go. But keep them away from these doctors that are putting them on treatments under the age of being teens, because their bodies haven't matured. I have a great fight over this.
Carlotta, you were Australia's first high-profile person to get a sex change. You knew what you wanted to be and your calling. So it's interesting that you're against the puberty blockers. Would you not have taken them?
No, definitely not.
It is a dangerous thing, isn't it? Because everyone should have the choice. Everyone should be supported. But there is a point where you can't go back.
So I went and had a sex change because I would have made a bloody awful boy for my own business. But unfortunately, the press got about it, and look at it now. I'm about to turn 82, and I'm still getting shit about it.
Well, not from here. We love you. There's no doubt about that. And I know other transgender people who have made the transition, and it made sense. It completely made sense to me. Someone in my life who transitioned, a couple of people, it has made sense. But I'm really intrigued by the idea that you're against puberty blockers. Is it because you think you have to be of legal age to make a big decision, life-changing decision?
I'm against puberty blockers for, I think a child should mature. Their body doesn't stop maturing until they're about 18 or 19. I think that's the age. And then they decide.
Yep. I think the problem is they're not giving these puberty blockers to kids that are 7 or 8 years old. But the problem is that if someone really is born in the wrong body, in the wrong sex as far as they feel, it makes it that much harder if they've already been through puberty as the wrong sex, then suddenly it's much more traumatic to reverse all that, and that's the problem. I think that the problem here is not the puberty blockers themselves in the case where someone really is gender dysphoric or whatever, but if you get it wrong. So the problem is if there is social contagion, if people are saying it just to get attention or so they feel, special, or if it's something else like another condition, I think that's the problem. It's not the puberty blockers themselves, it's what if we get it wrong. So I think that's what we have to be really sort of sensible about, and I can't believe I'm being sensible, but making sure we get the diagnosis right, not the puberty blockers themselves, but making sure they're being applied to the right people.
There is nothing more horrific than meeting with some of these kids who were put on these puberty blockers, some of them who went through with the removal of their breasts, that went through entire procedures, to then meet them in their early 20s as they're going through a detransition. And unfortunately, I think the medical profession is jumping far too quickly to authorise the use of these, not only both hormonal but also surgical interventions, and they are irreversible and causing very, very long-lasting damage to a lot of children.
The surgical ones are not the puberty blockers, though, but that's two different things.
No, but this is where they're leading.
No, I don't agree with you, Joe. I don't agree with you, Joe. They are two different things. Puberty
And Carol,
blockers
this is how
are.
diverse our program is. We even allow Joe Hildebrand to join us.
Well, you know what? We are not the medical community, so...
Carlotta, I think she's got a bit more experience than me.
But Joe, you're the expert on everything.
That's true. That is true. Thank you.
They say you should never discuss religion and politics. Well, a friend of our next letter writer has broken that rule. And then some. Hollie, you're our resident Polly. What does Joanne need help with?
Thanks, Rob. Well, dear B&B, I have a friend who's obsessed with politics. She's a Greens fanatic. All she wants to do is have a shot at anyone who doesn't vote Greens or doesn't agree with her extremist views. Even when I invite her to something and say it's a politics-free zone, she can't help herself and she ends up turning the dinner into a disaster. I think she's been taken over by aliens, or is that the case with all people who are interested in politics? Joanne from Hobart. Well, Joanne, my love, I'd suggest getting a new friend. I mean, I don't know whether she's been taken over by aliens, but the fact that she's a Greens voter would make her a unicorn farmer of the highest order. And honestly, who wants to hang out with Greens voters? I mean, I think that says everything you need to know about these people. They are absolutely torture. They have this magic pudding view of the world. No one should ever work. Everything should be for free, yet somehow or other an economy is going to keep working. I mean, honestly, if you've still, I don't know how old you are, Joanne, but at some point you need to grow up and get with reality. And I think whoever this friend of yours is, it's time to show her the door and not let it hit her on the arse on the way out.
Ange, there is something to say that if you say it's a politics-free zone, no matter what party they're affiliated with, it's bad form to literally bring up politics, but it's always a Greens voter, isn't it?
It's always a Greens voter. It's so tedious. Oh my God, Joanne, you'll make heads far more about emissions than she does about friendships. And that's not a good starting point. And look, you know, all of us are opinionated here. I'm opinionated, but I know the difference between a dinner party and a bloody Senate inquiry. You know, remind her perhaps that you...
No, please, Ange, tell us another Real Housewives of Melbourne story, please.
I'm so glad you asked. So, let me tell you what Gambler Janet said.
Let's not. And, you know, this is the problem with Greens voters and their obsession with their emissions. Half the emissions is the absolute rubbish coming out of their mouth.
Absolutely. And look, you know, Greens people, they don't quit. At least I knew when to quit Real Housewives.
True.
Can I just say, this conversation is getting very political. I'm not sure if it's appropriate for this particular... yeah, look, obviously, the Greens are a blight on our political landscape. Thankfully, they're a very skinny blight because they don't eat enough protein. So I suggest next time you're inviting your friend out, Joanne, just invite her out for a steak. Problem solved. She's going to... Just take her through the Macca's drive-through in an electric vehicle. That would be a real crisis of conscience, wouldn't it? But no, they're just terrible. Go out with someone from One Nation instead.
Do what I do when I have a dinner party. You leave your phone, your politics and your religion at the door.
That's the problem. Joanne's friend isn't doing that. But this is Beauty and the Beast, where we don't believe in stereotypes. Well, our next letter covers the all-important topic of fashion. And who better to read it than our very own fashion icon, Joe? I think that must have been a typo, but Joe...
You're right. Yes, you're right. It's the thinking woman's sex crumpet and Australian style icon, Joe Hildebrand here. And we've got a letter. Dear B&B, my husband always looks like the Lost Weekend. He wears the same clothes day after day, even turns his undies inside out so he can get another wear out of them. He never shaves or combs his hair, and you have to be upwind from his breath. What should I do about him? Gloria Gloria, the desperate housewife from Roselle. Well, obviously, my wife is writing under an assumed name.
I was just going to say, is your wife's name Gloria?
Yes, I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that, Prue, which is why I got in there first. But as you can see, I've cleaned up my act considerably since the day. Firstly, I would just have to say to your husband, Gloria, turning your undies inside out so you can get another wear out of them, that's not getting another wear out of them. That's just wearing a dirty pair of undies. And of course, everyone knows that if you're really committed to that process, you have to go inside out and then back the front. And that way you get 4 days out of them. But you're still wearing just the same old crusty pair of undies. You're not getting another wear out of them. You're just putting more filth onto your already filthy body. I think it's time for old Yeller to go to the farm, Gloria. I think it's time to just, send him straight to it. I know Joanne from Hobart has a Greens friend who is probably looking for a partner, and I think these two could, make some beautiful music together.
Can I just say the irony of Joe Hildebrand talking about fashion. This is a guy that when I was his boss at Studio 10, he had the big messy hair, he had the big beard, and we actually had to do an on-air intervention to actually clean him up. We had to get the audience to vote whether they wanted Scruffy Joe or Stylized Joe. How'd that go, Joe?
And look how well it turned out. Look how well it turned out. You made me the style icon I am today. I'm just waiting for the call from GQ magazine.
I think Joe was on Skid Row because he was an expert in skid marks, and that was why you had that problem with him, Rob.
The other funny thing is that the audience voted to keep Scruffy Joe, and I overruled them anyway. Holly, I have a feeling you certainly wouldn't let your men be a bit scruffy or dirty.
No. And he sounds really quite vile. And I'm hoping they don't share a bedroom because you can imagine the stench that's probably coming off him. I mean, perhaps if she's not ready for the divorce lawyer, and you let me know, Gloria, I've got a good one. But honestly, I would get yourself making sure when he does take the clothes off, you whip him in the washing machine before he can reuse them, and perhaps you can solve one problem there. Maybe a day-at-a-day spa and the dentist to give his mouth a bit of a go. And if that doesn't work, Gloria, honestly, how can you take him out anywhere? Get rid of him, get a new one that believes in showering, deodorant and a bit of clean clothing. You can do much better, love.
Well, I think your husband was on the camera there getting a bit nervous with that wobble there. I think you've done
he got
it, Holly.
When I mentioned the divorce lawyer, I think nerves coming in. But no, my current husband, as he refers to himself as the best so far, takes very good care of himself but always dresses beautifully.
Ange, I have a feeling you wouldn't take any crap from your partner.
You are completely correct. I've stopped breathing him in his sleep. But I do have a personal view on this because I've been on Survivor. I've lived in filth covered in mud from
just going to pick up that extra name drop you've just done. Survivor, Real Housewives.
If it's not Real Housewives of Melbourne, it's CNN or Survivor.
And don't forget Studio 10. Yeah, so I have a personal view on this because I've been on Survivor. I've lived in filth covered in mud from Satan's anus. No joke. I've smelt human aromas that still haunt me. And even we had more pride in our appearance than what you're describing. So, if old Stinky McGee is preparing for his starring role on Survivor, that is an excuse. But it is the only excuse.
I know exactly how Ange feels because I lived in a student's share house.
I think the answer's pretty simple here. You got to shape up or ship out. Do you have a question for our panel? Go to Instagram or TikTok and search for Booty and the Beasts AU. We'd love to hear from you. Well, I've had a sneak peek at this next question, and I'm glad it's you reading it, Carlotta, and not me.
Thank you, Rob. Dear Beasties, how do you put up with whinging women on this show? They're always complaining about something and are never happy and satisfied. The old boilers on the panels should be put out to pasture. How dare! I reckon we need to get some of them influencers on board, the ones with big lips and boobies. Excuse me, we don't want them looking for Nemo. I don't care what comes out of their mouths, but they are good to perv at. What do you think? Merv, the perv from Bondi Junction.
Letter of the day.
Oh, my God.
Merv.
You arsehole. That's all I can say. I'll take that
Merv
view.
is satisfying anyway.
What an arsehole.
I think this will be a quick one. Bugger off, Merv.
Yes.
Any other feedback?
Can I just make the observation that Merv addressed his letter to the beasts and all
Yeah, be very careful.
and
Hey, Merv the perv.
let me just stop right there.
Joe can't even get a word in.
Can I just say, Merv? Can I just say, Merv, your allegation that the booties talk over the beasts all the time is completely unfounded. I don't know where you're getting that from. It's utterly baseless. They are incredibly shy and retiring and well spoken. There's not a bushel around that they don't hide their light under.
I am woman, hear me roar.
I tell you what, trying to keep Carlotta quiet is a battle in itself. All right, last calls. Anyone else got anything to say?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, shock horror. Off you go.
Okay. Oi, Donald Trump. I mean, Merv. You are a walking reminder of why we women fake headaches and so many other things. So let me guess. You think that Jermaine Greer is a type of cheese, and the last book you read was a pub menu, wasn't it? You know, if boobies were brains, Merv, you would be an A cup, you dick.
Prue, you've been very quiet.
I'm just thinking about going to my Botox woman and my limp plumpler woman and saying I want my money back. Merv, I've got my tits out for you and I've done my lips and my Botox. What more do you want?
Well, can I just say, on a completely unrelated matter, Prue is actually moving to Bondi Junction. So,
Merv, we've got a date.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Beauty and the Beasts. To find more episodes or maybe even ask a question, make sure you follow us on social media, TikTok and Instagram. It's Beauty and the Beasts AU. Beauty and the Beasts AU. A big thanks to our panel, Prue, Hollie, Carlotta, Ange and Joe. Shake it, Carlotta. I'm Rob McKnight. Hope to see you soon.